Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today with an arena video update here in regards to an interesting team I was facing up against. Figured I'd make a videos for those of you that have been having issues, but it actually involves a Lady Deathstrike now being officially part of the arena meta. Not sure if this holds, but I was able to find a counter with the same team I've been using, so I just want to showcase for you guys. Maybe this will help you if you're also seeing this defense as well. But yeah, my arena go-to team has been Apocalypse, Super Scroll, Gladiator, Gore, as well as Thanos Endgame. This has been my go-to team to stay in the top 10 and claiming those 500 power cores per day. As you can see, doing very well still, and we're just milking all the power cores that we're getting each and every day, as well as the rest of these Annihilator or fragments. So without further ado, let me show you the gameplay footage and what worked for myself, but also how it can be a very scary combo if you're up against Lady Deathstrike. So you can see to the far right, this is the matchup I was up against yesterday, and I think for folks that have built up Lady Deathstrike in the past, and obviously now have pushed her to a 2 or 3 diamond because of a rework, I think they can be a very impressive defensive team. There is a bit of RNG, I think, because I did get lucky in this match, and I want to show you how I was able to win, but also what the attack order should be if you're up against a Lady Deathstrike like the way I was up against. So I mean, remember in my previous matches, when I'm up against these arenas, you typically want to take down endgame Thanos as soon as possible, ideally before he can use his passive, so that way it resets the round, right? But you can see where Lady Deathstrike's gonna be an X factor is right here. Look at the amount of bleeds that she's given out to my Gladiator and as well as Super Scroll in that left side, even all the way to Thanos. So this is where you probably need to be careful. The good news is that if the bleeds actually do push our endgame Thanos, which does happen here, as you can see, my passive triggers, I do reset right there. So that's kind of the saving grace right there. Endgame Thanos is able to help out with the bleeds and prevents us actually from ultimately Gladiator seeing his end, right? Now, the only downside is I was trying to target endgame Thanos here as much as possible too, and ideally one-shot him with the Apocalypse, but you can see I actually triggered his passive as well. So not ideal, but now that we've triggered him, then it doesn't really matter at this point. It's good that I think his endgame Thanos is actually lower than mine. We'll take a look at the stats in a bit here, but I do the ability block, and then otherwise, now that we know everything's been reset, but you can see, just look how crazy Lady Deathstrike's damage is. Like, she's just doing work on our Annihilators and as well as Super Scroll. So definitely potential here, but the good news is we were up against the best kind of Lady Deathstrike that's possible. She's a 3 diamond, gear to 19, so it can't be worse than this, right? Well, something to be mindful of is the bleeds for sure. So I basically just took down everyone but Lady Deathstrike and left her for the very end, because I think this is ideally the matchup you want to have. So is she a good replacement right now? I think she can definitely slot in for a character like Apocalypse or Super Scroll if you don't have them on the team. I definitely would recommend it, because now she's a cheap option. She's part of Ray team, and as you can see right here, like I said, we were up against a maximum Lady Deathstrike on screen here. 3 diamond, gear to 19. I would say my team was probably took the edge here in a bit because I had a higher gear tier level, but otherwise, my opponent actually had higher star levels on some of the characters, like endgame Thanos, and our Gores were basically the same, the only difference being gear tier. So in essence, guys, I think this is a really good defense now. The exception is only if you don't have Super Scroll. Obviously on offense, my same arena team still took this down with no issues whatsoever, but just something to be mindful of if you guys are planning to do this. She's very scary in damage. I think definitely as an offensive option for arena, you can definitely play a big part here. So I was just waiting for the clock here. We're gonna go ahead, we finish off Lady Deathstrike, and boom, that gives us the victory right there. So let me know if you guys are seeing this counter. This is a new kind of defense I'm seeing in arena, and I think it's good if you don't have some of those meta tunes, because now she's a cheap option and she can wreak havoc, as you saw. Thankfully we had endgame Thanos to actually reset the match, and I don't know what would have become of that if we didn't have that ability with the Annihilator. So there you guys have it. Hopefully this helpful. Let me know what you're seeing in the arena, but this is definitely new from what I've seen before. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.